Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?
What's up, guys? GP here, back with another episode of the Peach Chronicles. Here at the Peach Chronicles, I want to highlight the show Atlanta. I think Atlanta is one of the greatest shows to ever grace network television. I think there's so many hidden messages, so much hidden humor, so many things to turn up within each episode, much less within each season. And I thought it was sad that there was no podcast highlighting the greatness of the show Atlanta, so I figured I'd make one. I don't have an official intro, so each episode I'll just be explaining what I'm doing. In this episode, this is Season 1, Episode 4. The name is The Streisand Effect. If I was to name this episode, I would call it Anything for Content. Donald Glover really dives into the world of content, and he dives into how much people feel like they own celebrities or own the right to communicate, own the right to touch, own the right to talk to celebrities. People really feel like they know you and they can say anything about you and they can address you any type of way. I'd imagine when you're famous. It happens in every show. It seems like it's a consistent theme that people write about. So I would have to assume that as people become famous, and you watch like basketball players, people grab them all types of places, people saying all types of stuff to them. Football players, like these celebrities, these singers, people throwing stuff on stage, people reaching out and touching them. Like, I've never been that type of person. I don't know. I'm not trying to touch on different types of people. I'm not trying to talk too much shit about different types of people or anything. But I think that idea is what's really displayed in this episode, so let's dive into it. At the beginning of the episode, Al is leaving a small gig. Obviously, it's a small gig because he comes out the back door straight into an alley with a J lit by Earn. A reputable venue is going to have a green room. You wouldn't be thrown out right into the alley. You wouldn't be, you'd probably be sweaty like that because you're performing rap music and here and there performing and stuff like that. But the beginning of this, it's just Donald outside doing the formulating, and it's Paperboy just going through the grind of being an underground artist and being an artist that's not getting paid a lot and working pretty hard. And working hard in terms of the rap game, in terms of like needing to show up to these small, more than likely shitty sets. And then this is where like the approachability stuff comes up. So this dude Zan, he walks up and he just butts into their conversation.
What's up, guys? I'm Zan.
I met one of the first people like this I've ever met in my entire life the other day, of a dude who kind of just like approaches you and y'all are already mid-conversation. Like, you don't know their name, you don't know anything about them, you know nothing, but they just like walk up to you and you're like thrown into a conversation. I actually met my first person like that the other day, and it's a weird experience. And I can imagine celebrities go through this all the time because everybody wants a piece of them. Everybody wants to talk to them. Everybody wants just access to them. People don't want access to me. This was literally just a random dude in a line at a concert. But you can tell that Earn and Paperboy aren't really interested in this dude, but they're kind of curious about what's going on.
I'm blowing up right now, my nigga.
And then when he freaks out when Darius walks up, they're like, that immediately tells you like, all right, nah, this dude's not cool. He's doing too much already. He's already about to try to fight one of our boys, and we don't even know him, and he's like defending on our behalf. Now that's some weird shit.
Hey, back the fuck off, Paperboy.
But it's hilarious to me that even though Darius doesn't like him, Darius's like third eye is still open, that he's open-minded to the dude. He clearly doesn't like him, but he still takes his hat. He's still listening to him in conversation. He's still curious about the man, even though his initial judgment, for sure, based off the look on his face, is not a big fan of him. The dude's about to attack him.
You want a hat?
Nigga. Yeah.
It completely makes sense why he's kind of thrown off by him But to me, little things like that show the character of Darius, that he's still not closed-minded to this dude. People be like, man, let's go. He's still looking at the stuff on his phone, interested in the conversation, even though this complete weirdo is approaching them. And it also shows, or what I take away is the fact that he's at the stage of his career where he has no security. So that physically makes him approachable. Like, Earn isn't about to stop anybody. Like, a bigger artist has security everywhere they go. Even, like, police escorts when they're leaving big venues and stuff like that. That's not the size of Paperboy. So Paperboy really has no protection. He's really out here alone. So Darius is eating this obscure food, whatever he's eating. He puts down paper mail, because you gotta, like, specify that, because it's kind of weird to get paper mail. I mean, I'm surprised when I get physical paper mail. That matters. I bullshit you not, it's no more than probably like 4 times a year. When Donald tells him, or when Earn tells him...
You made that up. Everything's made up, nigga, stay woke.
I've been thinking about it and pondering a lot. I really feel like Earn, or Donald Glover, the actual writer of the show, is inserting some of his... I might have talked about this last episode, I don't remember. But he's inserting some of his obtrusive thoughts, or his out-of-the-box thinking, or some of his... what's it called? Some of his conspiracies. And obviously it's not a conspiracy. Everything really is made up. But it's like these different types of thoughts that are like the kind of thoughts that if Donald Glover's sitting in his office kind of stoned and he's thinking about, man, everything kind of is made up. Like, why do we care about anything? And that's the type of shit you do. You feel like tripping. But like Darius is like, life is one long, big psychedelic trip, clearly, because stuff doesn't faze him. In the same way as if somebody's on psychedelics and they're not too fazed by the normal things that would faze normal people. Earn is trying to convince Paperboy next to not go back and forth with this Zan dude in social media. He knows it's not going to end well, but Paperboy is going to showing his pride. He's showing that he can't, like, not get the last word.
That dude from last night talking shit.
He needs to prove himself. And he needs to prove himself for who? Like, this dude's clearly not really a fan, doesn't really like his music that much, doesn't matter, isn't a celebrity himself, has no power over Paperboy, and his words are still affecting him. And I think that's normal. I think any artist that's creating something and somebody's tearing you down online, it doesn't feel good, even if that person is literally homeless in a box. If somebody came on this video and was like, that was the worst evaluation of Atlanta I've ever seen, and he lived on cardboard around an alley behind a dumpster, and he bathed in Lake Michigan, I would still be like, damn, bro, why was it that bad? You know, it wouldn't really matter. So it's just that idea that they're playing off of, and the idea that Earn has the good sense to say, don't do that. And Darius is just a hype man. Darius is like,
damn, bro, you going off, ain't you?
You know, and it's like, no, bro, you're supposed to be encouraging Paperboy not to do this dumbass shit. Everybody's at jeopardy, or in jeopardy of losing shit if Paperboy, like, goes off the rails too much. But Darius doesn't care about that. Darius cares about supporting his friends and trying to do, like, literally in that moment what he thinks is, like, nice, supportive, and kind of from, like, a bird's eye view. He doesn't really get involved in too much in the matters of, like, regular people.
AIDS was invented to keep Wilt Chamberlain from beating Steve McQueen's sex record. And by 69, he was already number 3 on the all-time list.
This is what I'm talking about. This is where Earn puts in his ridiculous conspiracies. Like, what? But that's a conversation 2 guys would have, specifically probably 2 black dudes would have, passing a billboard. Like, you just never know where that could go, especially because you see a lot of AIDS stuff. I don't know if that's just me, but like on Hulu specifically, Hulu has so much AIDS medication. I don't know if Hulu has a demographic that's like a heavy AIDS demographic, but you see so much stuff. And then conspiracies come out. And stuff like what Darius just said, it's like ridiculous. Like if they did really create AIDS, let's say, and I can accept that as a conspiracy, is that the reason why? But you can have Darius say anything because he's Darius. And what Darius says has so much conviction and is so convincing that you just accept it. We're going to go throughout the show and you guys are going to see how people accept what Darius says because he says it with conviction, always. He doesn't waver in the decisions he makes. He makes them quickly and he does them. And it's what I like about the character, but it's what also gets him into certain situations throughout the show.
I thought AIDS was made by the government to kill homosexuals.
Oh, yeah, that too.
2 for 1.
So as the conversation continues, it just gets deeper into the complexity of black conversation.
Who's Steve McQueen?
The actor, man, you know, the king of cool, you know, guy from the Sandpebble.
I don't know.
Man, most black people don't know who Steve McQueen is.
Really?
Yeah, but I thought, you know, that you'd be into that kind of stuff, but guess not.
But you know who Steve McQueen is, though.
Yeah, well, I'm Nigerian.
Not to say other races aren't, but like specifically in this, the complexity of and the nuance of black conversation and the nuance of a lot of even American-born Nigerians or African, like kind of first generation born in America, African people wouldn't necessarily consider themselves black or wouldn't consider themselves African American. And even if they did, they would consider themselves like culturally different in the same way Darius, and this is a lot of people. This is not everybody. I'm not putting everybody in a box. Because I'm sure there's this way, like with some first generation Europeans, they would not be like, I'm on the same stuff that like American Caucasians are on. And so that nuance is just shown a light on with a conversation about Steve McQueen. I personally don't know who Steve McQueen is. But the way that Darius shrugs it off, the confidence he gives with it, and then his reasoning is because he's Nigerian, not like American black, that's something that a black American would hear. And it would be about something as trivial as knowing a fact or something like that. Like, yeah, black people don't really know about that, but like us Africans, we know about that stuff. That nuance was written about on something so random as Steve McQueen, and obviously that means Donald Glover knows who Steve McQueen is in real life, and he was able to put it in that perspective. Like, come on, dude. The conversation in this show is top tier. It's why I am doing this, because of the conversation. It's not even necessarily the plot. It's more of the interaction between people is done perfectly. So Paperboy's all over this dude's Instagram. He's like trying to take in all he can. He's trying to be like, who is this dude? Who is this dude talking shit about me? Who is this dude that's like trying to like ruin my name, quote unquote, on the internet, and he's a nobody. Like, but why is he doing this? And I feel like we've all gone down a rabbit hole of trying to figure out who somebody is on social media. I'm not too big to admit that, like, I've gotten on social media, I'm like, who's this? What do they do? And I haven't been attacked on social media. I can imagine if you're getting attacked on social media, that rabbit hole would be very deep. You'd be searching that hole as if you're trying to figure out if somebody cheated on you or something. And so we then get to the next scene of Earn once again showing how much he's struggling. He's going into the pawn shop to pawn off his phone, and it's not that much money for modern day to go without a phone. It's more money than you would actually get for a cell phone probably in the modern day for a smartphone, but at the same time, it isn't a ton of money, but Earn needs it. Earn needs it bad, and he needs it now, clearly, because he's giving up his cell phone in 2016, which modern day, in the last 20 years at this point, going without a cell phone is pretty unheard of for most adults, especially with children. And then in this scene, we're going to jump back right into what I was talking about and the confidence that people have in Darius. When Darius speaks, when Darius has an idea, it's listened to. And we don't know why. He has no credibility at all. He's the least credible person in the show, but he's always listened to.
No.
Get this sword.
Why?
And why the sword even makes that noise is that obscure in Atlanta. It's the aspect of Atlanta, the non-real that non-real aspect that Darius lives in. He lives in that world, and the other characters don't live in his same reality, so they don't see what he sees. He lives in between the binds. Like, if life's a book, he's like living in the binds of the book. He's not living between the pages. And so Darius says that,
Well, if you need the money, take the money. I'm just saying I can get you more.
off rip, it doesn't seem like a good idea watching the show, in my opinion. It doesn't seem like I would suggest a grown man who needs to feed his kids to swap that cash that he would get for a sword. And it shows, once again, the confidence that characters have. Off rip, he's like, all right, give me the sword. He doesn't even ask for the swap value. He doesn't say, can I get $50 in the sword? How much is the sword? He says, just swap it out because Darius guaranteed me more money. Like, how is he that credible that you put your starving child's life on the line? That's very exaggerated. But ability to eat, ability to support your child on the line for a samurai sword in a pawn shop because a man with no job, no place to live, and no resources told you so. So Paperboy is getting fed up with getting talked about, obviously, like through social media and stuff like that. And the dude at the bar recognized the dude that's talking shit and told Paperboy where he can find him. So Paperboy is now gonna take social media and bring it into real life. Like, it's consumed him. The bullying has fully consumed Paperboy, and he can't, like, take it anymore.
And he out here saying I can't rap and I don't move, man. That's disrespect.
Donald Glover understands black conversation. It's just that simple. And not only does he understand black conversation, he understands how to put it on the screen. The way that this older black man at the bar spoke to Paperboy is exactly how an over-the-hill black man would talk to you.
70s tan, cleaner than the board of health. I tell you, smoking a swisher with no weed.
Like, stuff that black people would bring up is strange. Dude, we're 4 episodes in, and there's already so many points. Like, I didn't expect these episodes to be this long that I'm doing, but there's so many things. As I watch it over and over again, and as I get deeper into these episodes and deeper into the dialogue, it's stunning. So as Ern and Darius, they're just pulled up to sell the sword.
Do you know if you can block someone on a flip phone?
I don't know that. And that's something we wouldn't know today. That's like a young kid wouldn't know, like, can you backspace on a typewriter? And clearly, like, I don't think you can. No, you can't. But that's something that's like with outdated technology. We don't even know if how much of the modern day technology still exists within it. And so as Darius pulls up to this factory, this is how you know that Darius doesn't abide by the normal society rules, because he knows where to take this sword. He knows where these people exist. He's confidently walking in there.
Chinese people are short because the gang is gone.
Into a territory that's clearly not black, into a territory that's clearly not familiar to Ern. Darius is completely comfortable in this situation. And then once he comes back out and Ern's like, all right, where's the cash? And they bring the dog out. You now know you're in a Darius situation.
Go and eat the money.
Gotta make a quick trade up.
You now know that, all right, I don't know what's about to happen. Because you assumed that Darius was going to get you what you wanted right now, the cash, more cash than you were expecting at the pawn shop, because this sword is worth more than a phone. But Ern forgot he was dealing with Darius. So Paperboy pulls up to the pizza guy at his job, and you can tell he's unfazed. The guy at the job, like Zan, is unfazed by the fact that Paperboy's pulling up, because he's so used to confrontation. And confrontation is good for him. When you create content, confrontation equals drama, and drama is good. So Paperboy's actually feeding in exactly what Zan would want him to do, and Like, Paperboy is not creating music now, not performing, not doing any of this. He's literally giving a lot of energy to a pizza delivery guy. Zan does not take anything seriously, or definitely not what's happening on social media. And I truly believe this is how it is. This is like a lot of social media is like reality TV, to where when the cameras go on, drama needs to happen. So these people act like they have to hate each other. They have to do all this divisive stuff, whatever. Or like boxing. That's the best way I can explain it, to where like these boxers, these fighters, MMA people, a lot of times have to act like they hate each other a lot more than they do to sell tickets.
I record everything, man.
And Zan has to act like he's attacking these artists way more, just because he's going to do whatever he can do to get retweets, likes, favorites, whatever. And Paperboy doesn't play games like that, so he doesn't really understand.
You're exploiting your situation to make rap. And I'm exploiting you exploiting that.
He doesn't get that he's really just digging his own grave by doing what he's doing. So this dude understands how content works, because everything really is valuable to somebody. And so people, like, always be filming is a theme for a lot of people. And this is something that Paperboy wouldn't understand. Paperboy's from the streets, technically. You know, and he's definitely not from some type of content creator's background. And at this point, the only stuff he's created is really art. And so this guy is kind of putting him on game on how the game works, even though Paperboy, we're never going to see him like get big into social media and stuff like that throughout the show. But he's starting to understand just some of the negatives to being a celebrity, and some of the bad aspects of having the light shown on you at all times. Like, this dude is like making videos with a young kid in the back seat just because like that gets more views in one lane. And so he's saying like, all right, all this is for content. I read in Rick Ross's book, actually, he talked about this. He talked about how he was actually talking about this in context with Kanye, and he was like, Kanye does so much stuff for attention and to draw attention onto himself, and a lot of it's just for attention. It's not really even like what he believes. And that's what a lot of content is just drawing attention to something, regardless of personal opinions about it.
That's my business partner. Hoes love this little nigga.
And it might happen more in the show, but the fact that the kid was already in the back seat when the dude got in delivering pizza, this is 2 episodes now out of 4 where strange stuff has happened with kids around Paperboy. Like, I don't know if that's a real thing, if that's a constant theme, but he's the only one that's really dealt with children, other than like Ern's daughter, but like not too much. But were there scenarios with kids and Paperboy? So we'll see if that continues. I'm not really exactly sure. I'm just kind of bringing that up. And just that idea for this episode that kids are used for social media a lot, and kids are used to get views all the time. Like, we literally see that on social media all the time. And so Donald Glover slipped that in without it being like too overt or too like over the top, that people really be using kids for views.
Shut up, bitch!
So now Darius and Ern are taking the dog to go be traded up for another flip. So first it was the phone, then he flipped that to the sword. Now the sword's flipped like into the dog, and now he's about to sell the dog to somebody else that Ern believes is going to lead to cash. And Darius walks up to this dude. The dude says,
Hey, dude.
how does Darius know this dude? So he knows like the trailer park people, he knows these Asian like sword dealers, he knows the black people in the hood, he lives in the binds, he doesn't follow rules of normal society, and it allows him to have so much more versatility. Although his skill set isn't practical and makes no money really, he's well versed in people, clearly. And he's well versed in Atlanta. He knows different things, different people in different places. But in this instance, he does not understand that Ern needed the money now. Because he doesn't live in the same reality as Ern, no kids, no family, no responsibility, no bills, no real like here on earth attachments to anything, he doesn't understand the value that money was to Ern. He just told him that he could multiply his money. He didn't even say, I can multiply your money today. And so this is where you learn the dangers of Darius and the dangers of the people that live in the binds is that they don't understand what's happening between the pages. Like, they're lost in the pages. In the same way the people in the pages are lost to the people that's happening in the binds, the people in the binds are lost to the people in the pages, so in between the pages. So the way that Darius knows these people, the way that he knew the dog people, the way that he knew the value of that sword is also the reason why he lets Ern down in this situation.
Yeah, he's gonna take that cane corso and breed it with his other cane corso. They're gonna have cane corso puppies.
My daughter needed that money, okay? Not in September, but today. Okay, see, I'm poor, Darius, okay? And poor people don't have time for investments because poor people are too busy trying not to be poor.
And this is Ern's first monologue. Ern has a couple of very good, heartfelt monologues throughout the show. And this, I believe, this is the first one. This is the one that he really gets his shit off. So through Darius, he gets off kind of his conspiracy, his lighthearted thoughts, his stuff that's not really like change making. But in his own character, he really reveals life. Like in the last episode when he takes Van, I think that was the last episode, when he takes Van on the date, he really says he feels like people should be able to fail and dream and do stuff like that to find their goals. Here he explains like the bouts of poverty in America, and he does it really well, really succinctly, and it's something that has to be explained to Darius because Darius doesn't understand the implications of money for real. And so once Darius does understand it, Darius gives him his phone to trade in because
It's fine. I get a new one every month. Make sure they ain't tracking me.
So once again, his detachment from the material world saves Ern. So Ern's going to get some bread from the dogs eventually. But he also gets that bread now because Darius is a faithful friend, and Darius truly didn't understand the gravity of the situation. But that's why I think he earns the trust of these people, because his trust it's fruitful. Like, he's sincere in how he approaches things, and he's consistently Darius. For sure, Ern is still struggling, and Al is still trying to come to terms with his new celebrity, and they haven't shown any positives of it because the only positive is really the money. In real life, the only positive is like the money and unlimited ability to create, but do you have unlimited ability to create if everybody wants a piece of you and you're always busy and you're always traveling and whatever? So it seems like the show is really building up to how being a celebrity not only is not all it's cracked up to be, it's actually like ass in many ways. And the life that Paperboy had before of not getting attacked online, not having to confront people in real life, not being known by different drug dealers and like amigos and all that, these things are now, they're starting to come to light, the consequences of his growing celebrity. Guys, that was season 1, episode 4. Maybe a little bit longer of an episode, but there was so much throughout it, and that was a Darius heavy episode. So any episode where Darius is given a decent amount of dialogue, I'll probably be talking a good amount. But I appreciate you guys joining me for another episode of the Peach Chronicles. It's been another one. Feel free to subscribe wherever you're seeing this. I don't usually add that, but I should. So if you're listening to this over podcast, feel free to follow the podcast on Spotify or Apple. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to keep coming out with these weekly until we get this show tackled. It's one of the greats. I'll see you guys next time.
We're friends now.
550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?